Hi, this is Jeff Layton with House to Home Cabin Edition, and with me is Mike Tickey from Vector Windows of Fergus Falls. Mike, thanks for coming on the show.
Thanks for having me.
All right, we're excited to have you. So let's talk a little bit. We've got a fun little project that we're doing here, but I want to take a little step back and talk a little bit about Vector Windows. You guys are out of Fergus Falls, so really close, really locally built. So that's kind of cool. So tell us a little bit about Vector Windows.
Yeah, so we've been in Fergus Falls since 1995, and we manufacture vinyl windows and doors. And we're a growing company, and we service the upper Midwest.
Okay, so a little over 25 years.
Yes.
All right. So Mike, tell us a little bit about a Vector window. Why would a person pick a Vector window, the quality, that type of thing?
Yeah, one thing that separates Vector windows from a lot of other vinyl windows and doors is that we go after the premium vinyl market. So you won't be finding the lower end vinyl windows and doors that you might see at some of the cost-effective big box stores. We are available at your local lumber yard.
So Mike, when you say premium vinyl window, what's the difference between a Vector window and that big box store window?
Right out of the box, we have windows that are available standard that meet Energy Star regulations and requirements. So there could be some tax incentives that a customer could, or an end user could take advantage of. Other things that you can look for is the glass strength. We use double strength glass in our windows indoors, and which is a little thicker than what you would find in, again, the lower end, which offers a little bit more efficiency with the argon fill, and we also have low E coating standard in our product as well, where in a big box store you might get a clear glass and not be able to get the benefits of the low E coating.
Now what does low E coating mean?
Low E is low emissivity, and what that does is we put it on the second surface of the outside pane of the window, so it's the interior facing surface. And what that does is it allows the heat energy to come into the home, and then it reflects it back in continually to try to keep that heat in the home. In our northern climate here in Minnesota, that's a huge benefit.
So you get that solar gain.
Absolutely.
Okay. So Mike, tell me a few of the other efficiencies of a Vector window.
Yeah, so we also use warm edge spacer technology, and what that is in the two panes of your glass, there's a spacer in between. And we use one that is not metal, and some of our competition does. And what that does is cuts down on any condensation that might occur on the inside, and also add to the insulating value.
Are there any other advantages to the Vector window?
Yeah, in our Envision series, we also have an energy reinforcement, which is made from a fiberglass pultrusion. And compared to some of our other competitors' windows, they might use aluminum or steel, which conducts the heat and cool transfer through the window a lot easier than this fiberglass reinforcement, cutting down on that drafty, cold feel you might feel through a window in the wintertime.
Okay, cool. Some other things that you've got.
We also offer a triple pane window option as well for those that are looking for that superior thermal performance.
All right, so really people can have a wide range depending on what they're looking for.
Absolutely.
All right. All right.
For every budget and taste of customer.
Awesome. All right. So kind of moving to this project. So we're going to be replacing virtually every window between the cabin and the bunkhouse with Vector windows. So it's going to give it a pretty new look. And I'm going to just take a little step back and tell a little story of how I stumbled into Vector windows. So when I started this project, we bought this cabin a couple years ago, and some people might just tear a place like this down, but Beth and I thought we want to just make a nice little cabin. It's a great footprint, good bones. We thought we're going to just make this a nice little cabin. And so I was searching local lumber yards, and I happened to come across some misordered windows that happened to fit perfectly in 4 locations in the cabin. And so I thought, well, I'm going to give these a shot, and they were Vector windows. And so then I went to the lumber yard and I said, okay, now I need to really, and I sat down with Tyler at Franklin Fence in Fergus, and I said, hey, I'm really looking at replacing the rest of our windows now. And I said, I started with Vector windows. What's your thought of Vector windows? I kind of got them because they were, misordered. And he said, well, if it's any testimony, I put them in my house. And so I thought if the owner of a lumber yard put them into his house, he's going to have the pick of the litter, right, of all the products. And I thought, that's a great testimony to your product, that if the owner of the lumberyard is using it, so certainly I thought they'd be pretty good for my cabin. So consequently, here we are today, and we're going to replace 11 of the existing windows with Vector windows between the house and the bunkhouse. And so one of them is right behind us here. So what we want to talk about a little bit is you got to find a way to measure windows for replacement. And so I'm going to lean that towards you, because there's 3 critical measurements to take and a couple different ways that you can measure a window for replacement. So let's talk about that.
So there's 3 primary ways that you can measure a window, either for new construction or replacement. It really depends on your application. One of the methods that you can use is, if you're replacing a window like we have here, is the easiest way to tell on this one. I can see the edge of the existing window. So what I would do is just measure the outside to outside of the frame of the window itself, the jamb to jamb measurement they call it. You provide that information, both the width and the height, to your builder or your lumberyard, and they can order the windows through us from that measurement. Another way that you can measure, if you're either new construction or also remodeling as well, is if you have the outside framing available to measure. Let's say this window wasn't installed or it was taken out already. You measure that rough opening, and you measure from the stud to stud and from the top to the bottom, head to the sill, and you get that information. As long as you mention that was the rough opening window measurement, then again they can order the windows accordingly from us as well. And the third way that you can measure in a remodel replace type of situation like this, if you have brick mold on the outside and you have some siding that you're dealing with, you don't want to mess with that siding, take it down or do anything, you can measure, we call it an outside brick mold to brick mold measurement, which we could probably show you as well.
Okay, and then what that allows you to do is that you can slide the window right in and not disrupt your siding, because that can make a window replacement maybe not feasible or a lot more expensive anyway.
True, yes, and that is the major benefit of the brick mold to brick mold sizing, is if you don't want to mess with anything on the outside and have that finished look when you're replacing an older brick molded wood window typically.
All right, Mike, we mentioned on the inside that there's another way to measure to do a replacement window where there's existing siding, the brick molding. So let's talk about that a little bit.
Yes, so on an existing brick molded window like we have here, what you would want to do is measure 3 different areas, probably close to the bottom, the middle, and then fairly close to the top to get your width measurements, and then also do the same for your height measurements. And what you want to do in that case is measure and record the widest and the tallest of the 3 measurements. And then you would provide that information to your lumberyard and let them know that that's to replace a brick molded unit.
Okay, and then you mentioned that you'd be able to then just slide it in, and tell me a little bit about the system you have so that you don't have to do any work on the siding.
Sure, yeah. With our easy trim brick mold system, you would slide the window in, shim it so that it's level, and then you would apply screws from the exterior to screw it right into the framing of the home, and then we have a cover that snaps in to conceal all those fasteners.
Wow, all right. And it's like there was never anything ever done to the siding, and you just have to pop it right in.
Pop it right in and then apply your caulk sealant around and you would be done.
All right, cool. Well, we're really excited about this project. Our next phase is going to be tearing out these windows, and then our next show we're going to show people how to properly install a window, and just so that you get it so that it doesn't leak, it lasts a lifetime, and that type of thing. So we're excited about that. So what's the best way if somebody wanted to do a little research on Vector windows or find a local dealer? These windows are coming from Franklin Fence in Vergas, the lumberyard there, Vergas, Minnesota. What's the best way for people to do their own research?
Yes, we have a dealer locator on our website at www.vectorwindows.com.
All right, perfect. And they can check out all the different dealers there.
Absolutely.
Okay, all right. Well, again, we're excited about this project, and we're going to see some big changes over the next couple weeks on the show. Excited to show you. Mike, thanks again for coming in and being a part of the show.
Thank you.
All right, we appreciate it. Until next week's show, I'm your host, Jeff Layton.